welcome. Welcome, dear sisters. My name is Leonor Murciano-Luna, for those that don't know me. And I wanted to come on here today and talk a little bit about the frame drum and the history of the frame drum and the history that it has with healing. So the frame drum is really a tool. It's one of the medicines of ancient feminine wisdom. And it dates back all the way at least 3000 BC, where all of the indigenous and ancient tribes and all of the when in the era of feminine lunar era, which is the era where the Great Mother was worshipped, all of the different literature that we see around the goddesses, and we can see all of the different paintings and sculptures show them with a frame drum. And in Lane Redmond's book, she was a frame drummer that really brought all the awareness about how the frame drum has been used for thousands of years for healing, for ritual, for connection to the earth, to connect into the sacred mysteries, and again, dating all the way back to at least 3000 BC. And women especially were the first drummers, and that's actually the name of her book, When the Drummers Were Women. And they used to drum, and they used to drum for rituals, they used to drum for the community to almost, you can imagine, like bringing back the rhythm into the community, the rhythm into our bodies, the rhythm when someone was out of rhythm, they used to be able to bring them back through the frame drum and bring them back into harmony with ourselves, with our soul, with the earth, with the sacred essence. So it was also used as a divinatory practice and ritual. And the drum, later on, when the domination cultures came through and all of the temples were destroyed and the goddess and the feminine wisdom was silenced, the women were not allowed to drum. The women were prohibited from drumming and from using their voice in any of the spiritual practices. And actually, they couldn't even participate in any of the spiritual practices of the day. And so the drum has a very long history. And again, it's one of those tools that really connects us with the wisdom of the feminine, the ancient wisdom, and the wisdom that is inherent in the rhythm. And the drum really represents in many ways the heartbeat, the womb. The heartbeat that we first hear is the heartbeat in the womb of the mother. And it represents also the pulse of life. It represents also the moon, right? It represents also the moon and that connection with the mother, that connection with life itself, and not just our physical mother, but also the great mother, which at that time in the feminine lunar, about 5,000 years ago, that was the belief, the common belief of the day, that the Great Mother and all of her creation was sacred, and that everything came and went from the Great Mother. And so as we continue to really awaken to this wisdom, we can return to the mystery that rhythm has, and the healing potential that rhythm has. And so there's been a lot of studies done, especially with trauma and with our whole nervous system and the polyvagal theory and all of these new studies that are really showing, bringing science up to what we already knew in terms of the ancient wisdom, that rhythm and sound and vibration can act as a way to restore our system. Our nervous system can release trauma, can help us to feel better, help us to move out of the constriction, help us to clear some of the conditioning and some of the pain, whether it's emotional pain, physical pain. And so there's been so many studies done on this, and it shows that really drumming and sound can change anything from releasing anxiety, helping with depression, to helping our immune system, shifting, really increasing our immune system, which I think is just fascinating. And many, many other things. There's so many different ways in which drumming helps. It also has been shown to shift states, so we can shift into different states of consciousness, which is why it's been used shamanically, again, with indigenous cultures all around the world for thousands of years. So I use a lot the drum in most of our classes and even in our one-on-one private sessions. And I feel that the drum and the sound of the drum is so powerful because it penetrates into the psyche and helps us to relate to something greater and something very deep within us. It's that primordial rhythm of life. And now I use it in different ways. There's a way in which each one of us actually has a rhythm according to our astrological date that we're born. So according to our astrology and where the planets are, you can correlate the gene keys, the I Ching with the gene keys, which Richard Rudd is the founder of the gene keys. And through this system, you can actually correlate the I Ching, which is a divinatory revelation system from the Chinese culture from thousands and thousands of years ago. And it has hexagrams with lines, and either a divided line, a split line, or a single line, and it's 6 lines. And you can actually find out according to your birth date and according to where the sun was, like if the sun is in Capricorn, 5 degrees Capricorn, like mine would be. And then you can look that up, and you can actually drum that. You can drum that signature on your drum. You can drum it on your body, but you can connect with that rhythm, because that rhythm is specific to you and to all the other people that 5 degree Capricorn falls in. But not just your sun, you can drum your moon rhythm. You can drum where your Venus is. You can drum where the feminine archetypes are, like Lilith or Vesta, which I absolutely love, or Eros. So you can use these drum beats. You can use this drum rhythm to activate that particular theme in your body, in your soul, in your remembrance. It's a way to remember. It's a way to come back into alignment. So it's very, very special and very profound, the way that can be used for healing ourselves. And so one of the rhythms, let's see if I remember. For the 5 degrees in Capricorn for the sun would be that's one of the rhythms for our signatures that we could have. So there's many rhythms depending on your chart, depending on when your astrological signatures. And so combining drum with voice is another one of those medicines of the ancient feminine wisdom that's been lost, using our voice. And what I find really interesting is that, the polyvagal theory and the polyvagal nerve, which all has to do with trauma and our biology, our neurology, our nervous system, and really explaining what happens to us when we're in these trauma states, have shown that now toning and using our voice starts to relax our nervous system and starts to bring us back into alignment, back into harmony. So, the science is really catching up and really proving in many ways, what the ancients knew, what these ancient practices were practicing, collectively. And it's very, very powerful, to use them. So I will have another video on a little bit more about voice and some of the other medicines of ancient feminine wisdom, the lost medicines, as I call them. And, one of them is drumming, one of them is voice, and there's a couple more that I have been working with, and that's really coming up now around us, and it's really coming up in awareness, so it's really wonderful. So if doing and working with the drum, learning the drum for healing yourself, and also for those of us that feel called to step more into our own healership to help others and bring this frequency onto the planet of healing and more light and bringing us back into harmony. Clearing the collective trauma, the trauma that's been passed on through our lineage for thousands of years. A lot of us are really called to do that now. And if drumming is one way that you feel drawn to, then you might want to consider the 5-week program that I'm doing online starting August 5th. It's going to be Friday nights for 5 weeks. The details will be below. And you can consider using the drum for your own healing, because as a healer, you first have to bring all that healing to yourself, integrate it, experience it, letting yourself be the recipient, and then allowing yourself to transmit that. So we are really, everything that we learn has to be really kind of tried on ourselves first. With the drum, you also have different strokes for each element. And so you can do the earth stroke, which is that. This is the earth, and you have the water, and you have the fire, you have the air. And so you can combine all of these different strokes And if you understand that, if you really realize that we are about 70% water in our body, and if you've ever done any kind of sound or pulsation around water, the water moves. It's like water can move with pulsation, with sound vibration. And so you're really, really affecting your whole vibration and frequency with sound, and specifically with rhythm. So I hope this was fun for you. And And I encourage you to, pick up a drum or even drum on your body, and allow it to be one of the tools for you to come into harmony, come into alignment, especially if you're feeling, anxiety, or if you're feeling stressed out, or if you're feeling not quite in your center. This is one of those things that can actually shift you quickly too, very quickly. So thank you, and many blessings. Have fun.